Hey yo! First of all, there's a very disgruntled dog outside. So if you get to hear them, please just bear with us, okay? But anyway, I want to start this podcast episode by shouting out a couple of people just because I can. And I really want to shout out everyone who is always out here interacting. But I just picked the last few episodes that we had where people had some engagements and had some things to say, because I feel like we talk a lot on socials, but then there's just some interaction that goes on YouTube and Spotify that we're not able to read sometimes. So I want to shout out some of the people, like in our podcast of what is a popular mindset that you think is just so 1823. We had Kerubo Reel. Whoop. Whoop! We also had Muyoka, hey. And we also had Malombo in her. I don't know if it's in her or in her. I hope I said that right. Hello, thank you for always supporting. And on YouTube, I have, on our last episode on hygiene, non-negotiables, we have Charity Nyakangi. Hi, hello, how you doing? And we also have Miss Wanzu. So Wanzu has a podcast, Working with Wanzu. I was on the last episode if you want to go and listen to our clowning stories. But listening to her podcast, Working with Wanzu, it's a beautiful, beautiful podcast. Trust me. When I tell you something is beautiful, trust me. But let's get to what this podcast is all about. So welcome to another episode of the In All Honesty podcast. My fabulous name is Oliver Rao, and I asked you, have you ever cut ties because of someone's money etiquette, money icks, or maybe it's just yours, your rules around money? Of course, we got the responses coming in directly from my prompt. Oh, before I continue, I'd like to remind you, for people watching on YouTube, there's a lot going on this set. On this side, there's Luaman merchandise still on for sale. Had my first deliveries yesterday. Super excited. They got them and they loved them. But anyway, yes, Luaman merchandise still up for sale. If you want to get it, you can order through my WhatsApp catalog. The number is on the screen, or rather 0728 171 059. The country code is +254. And on my right is a jar with papers inside. So I started this exercise to just remind me of gratitude and basically to appreciate my wins, because so what this exercise is, every time I find I achieve something, I take a paper and write it and drop it into this jar. So this is my jar of wins. And honestly, it's done such a boost for me because I thought 2023 was such a bummer. I was just like, I just want it to end and let's try 2024. But when I started writing down my wins, I was just like, wait a minute, it's not so bad. So this really helps with you appreciating your wins and not so much soaking in what you think are failures. And this has helped me a lot. So I can't wait for us to get to probably the end of the year or maybe after a few months and just do a haul and see what's inside and see if we are happy or not. You can also join the exercise if you want to also start it. Please do and tell me how it's going. We can keep each other updated. But with that said, let's get back to the episode. Have you cut ties because of money etiquette or icks? The first person here told me, yes, borrow all humble, then you refuse to refund even after I ask you to. Block and friend. Yes. What is funny to me is how when someone is coming to borrow money, they're so meek, they're so polite. And then when it's time to pay back the money, you wonder where was this beast mode when you were coming to borrow the money? Why didn't you come and borrow it with your full chest the way you are having attitude right now? Anyway, yes, if someone does that to you, just block them and let them go. Someone else says just, yes, I guess they just felt seen. I spoke to their soul with this money icks. They don't give me context, so I guess. Someone else says, no, all my friends are ballers. I'm however cutting ties with my boyfriend. You don't give me context of what your boyfriend did, but yeah, if they need to go, they gotta go. For your friends, oh my guys are ballers. Hey, I love it. If you surround yourself with the people who have the same mentality, money mentality as you, the friendships are gonna be beautiful. Actually, just generally, even values, even character, friendships are gonna be beautiful. Someone else says, I cut off my pastor friend because she never used to pay back debt. Let me tell you, this person could have said, I cut out my friend because they never used to pay debt. When this person included the specific aspect of this person being the detail of this person being a pastor, that is very telling. And I've had this experience with so many people. A lot of people who do other people wrong and they hide behind religion and faith. Because when you say pastor friend, this is something that's very common with the common church people. They will come to you, they'll take things on credit, and then they're just going to I'm feeling triggered. And let me tell you, here's something that will happen. Because they're so manipulative and they're very purely evil and malicious, they'll actually go back to church and stand in front of a congregation and say that they have come to witness how the Lord has come through for them, how another friend was, they lost another friend because of how that friend turned on them because of money. Money is the root to all evil. They'll use a Bible verse that actually exists. Let me tell you, do not do any business with religious people, especially people who identify with their religion first. I can come to you and I can be Oliver Rao. But when I come to you and I'm like, I'm Pastor Oliver Rao, be very careful with those people. I am sorry, I'm not attacking the religious people. I'm just saying this is a character that most of you have. And if you don't want to keep having this stereotypical notion that we have about you, kindly talk to your fellow congregants and let them change their ways. Because right now we just think you people are doing the most and hiding behind your faith. Someone else says, I never let no one borrow from me because what I have witnessed is no fun. I am guilty of being stingy. You know, it's so sad that you lend people money and when you can't lend them, they just label you something. Stingy, broke, mean. Like, why are you suddenly mad that I can't give you this money? It doesn't make sense to me, but it's okay. You say you're okay with being called stingy because that's something that you have been called just because you didn't want to lend someone money. And it's your money and you've been beaten before. Now you're twice shy and it's okay. For someone who labels you as stingy or gives you a label just because you've refused to give them your money, they need to go. They gotta go. Someone else says, yes, tumefikiwa. I stopped lending money to friends and family because it's giving Zimbabwe. Everyone is just having this experience. And what I'm realizing is that most of the stories that I am reading, most of the people who are sharing are people who are lenders. I'm not hearing people who are borrowers giving me their side of the story because you people know you have bad manners, right? You know your bad mannering. But anyway, friends, family, money is a no. Someone else says, every month, some people just have bad manners when it comes to money. Yes, that's true. So there is this, is it called philanthropy exhaustion? I don't know, it's called something. So it could be that these people actually pay back your money, but if they borrow you money so frequently, at some point you feel exhausted. At some point you feel like you don't want to give them the money even if you have it. So I know exactly what you're feeling. And usually when this happened to me, the person I knew who used to borrow me money frequently was actually in a better position than I was. They earned a little bit more. They were more stable. They had like someone to support their rent and all that. I had nothing. But somehow it's me who kept lending them money. And I do not know. I can't say whether they're, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But yes, borrowing someone money frequently also is going to get them exhausted of you. Even if you pay it back, they're going to feel some type of way about you, even if you're a very close friend. And someone else says, yep, no story, no context. They just cut out this person. And it was because of money, etiquette, or Icks. Now, let me move to some of the slightly longer responses that I got. And the first one here says, oh, yes, because there is no way I will go learn about personal finances and investments, and you are spending like the earth is ending. I walked away faster than Lot's wife. So, you have invested, you have realized I need to be smarter with my money. I need to make more good money decisions. And you go and learn all these things about your finances. But this person who is your friend or your family, or this person who's your spouse and you interact mostly with money, does not care. They're just out here spending and doing the most. And then it's you. Their inconvenience becomes your inconvenience by extension, because then now they have to borrow from you, and now you have to bail them out. Yes, I can understand how this can get exhausting. And I don't know what you've done with that friend, but I hope it works out. I hope you find clarity. And this is a slightly longer one. Someone says, ooh, yes. I'm still friends. I'm still friends with this person. We've had conversations on this bad money habit she has a million times, but she doesn't get it. So my strategy to hanging out with her so as not to get offended is at her house or at mine. Anyway, my ick is that she always asks to be bought for or paid for things. You know those guys for pay for me, buy for me? Gosh, that annoys me so much. More so because I don't ask of the same. Also, my thing is, why don't you wait for me to offer to pay or buy? Because I believe me, if I can afford, I will. Second, partners who are not generous with money are a red flag. And I don't mean only those ones who give you money to spoil yourself. I mean the ones who are eager and willing to support your projects. This is one thing my aunties keep insisting on. Date and get married to someone generous. Makes life and partnerships easier. I'm still saving my coins for that t-shirt. I hope you are well. I am doing very, very well. The t-shirts will be here by the time you want them. I'll always have them. And also you might get the next batch of merchandise that's coming. That's not even necessarily Luo Man t-shirts. So I'm excited. But anyway, oh my goodness, you touched a nerve. I am so exhausted with these people for buy for me, please lend me, buy for me. Can you? I think it triggers me so much because I've been such a provider in so many relationships in my life, and not necessarily romantic relationships, romance, friendships, family, siblings. That's just the idea of someone, oh, buy for me. It really triggers me because I feel like some friends start to treat me as the spouse that they want to have. And that is a sponsor of sorts, which I don't get because I'm just a normal person like you who's also trying really hard to work for money like you. I don't get it. And the fact that you've tried to talk to your friend about their money habits that are bad, and she just does not listen. I don't know if you should be continuing with this relationship because it's going to put a strain to your relationship eventually. Right now, it's getting hectic, but it will get to a point where it will put a strain to the relationship. Because here's the thing. Now you only resort to hanging out with them at your house or at their house, meaning you can't do other things that friends do outside the house. And this might take a little bit more time and strength and intention. But once you get there, you will feel very, very happy. If you're able to do things by yourself, go on that date by yourself. Go on that trip by yourself. Go buy yourself that thing that you want. Go run errands by yourself. Once you get into that space where you can do stuff by yourself, you find it very, very easy to not rely on friends for you to have like better experiences outside. Because now it's gonna be hectic if we go out for dinner and you want me to pay for both of us. We go to skating, you want me to pay for both of us. We go for swimming, you want me to pay for both of us. I am not your hypergamy partner. I am your friend. And friends like those, I think, just are a bit off. In fact, people generally who are omba is just a beggar. I don't like beggars generally. Whether it's a relative, whether it's a friend, whether it's family, I just do not like beggars. Let me give it to you if I want to give it to you. Let me gift it to you if I want to gift it to you. And some people even wonder, because I know some people even ask me, like, how are you in my hood and you're not even telling me? Because every time I meet you, you want me to pay up. So I just won't tell you I'm around because somehow you think of me as, I don't know, a financer. it's uncomfortable being around you because you never hold your side of the you never purchase, you never contribute. It's difficult being around you. So I really do not like the idea of having beggars as friends. It's Stop it. If you're the kind of person who finds yourself asking people a lot, oh, buy for me, oh, get me, gift me, can you ask yourself why are you asking that from your friend? If your friend genuinely likes you, they'll gift you. They know the things you like. This is not your significant other. It's not your partner. And also borrowing things in general. Don't borrow people their clothes, their shoes. Stop. Stop it. Anyway, I was triggered for a minute there. For partners, pick generous partners. We've discussed this before, that picking a rich partner does not mean necessarily you've picked a generous partner. You might have a partner who doesn't have as much money, but they're quite generous. So be very keen to have generosity as a value for people that you're picking. If you're also a generous person, if you're a selfish person, please stick to yourself. Find other people who behave like you. Anyway, someone else says, oh yes, because there is no way I will go learn about personal finances and investments, and you are here spending like the earth is ending. I walked away faster than Lot's wife. I realized that I just repeated that response. Anyway, the next person says, if you ask me for money and say you will return it on Friday, don't make me ask you. I return money with the same enthusiasm I borrowed even from banks. I will cut you off if you have scarce money mentality. We might not have it, but can we not play poverty about it? Like, you can't be holding on to 1,000 shillings because you don't think we can make another. Please live my life with your scarcity. I beg. Love it. I love it a lot. Yes, please return the money with as much enthusiasm and as timely as you borrowed it, please. I really do not understand. I need to understand a borrower. Can a borrower please send in their side of the story? Because honestly, lenders are out here suffering. Everyone out here is a lender and they are suffering. Borrowers, send in your side of the story. What happened and why are you borrowing and not paying back? Please. Scarcity mentality, that is something very, very, you have to be very keen about it. Surround yourself with people who have the same mentality as you. I have found myself even outgrowing relationships, and this is like friendships, relationships that were where I felt like I wanted to grow, but the other person wanted to remain stagnant in that space where we were scrambling for coins. I don't think I want to live this life forever. Yes, we are happy. No, I don't deny that we are happy, but it's not, I would want more. I would want comfort. I would want convenience, and that comes with money. So I would prefer that I surround myself with people who have the same mentality as me. And I love that you're very radical about it. You just like ship out. Ain't got time. Anyway, we got some responses. Got mail. So mail says, hi, Olive. Let's just first laugh at myself. Oh, let me just first laugh at myself. I have a problem in all my friendships, whether with male or female adults in capital. I find myself becoming a loan institution. Yani, I rarely ask people for money, but watu huniomba loans on and off. I am like, do I look like I am that well off? Anyway, some do return my money, which I am grateful for. However, neither pay me back my transaction costs. I believe if I was to borrow money from a friend or whoever, I would be courteous enough to repay the cost they incurred in sending me the money. Just saying. I love you so much. Thank you for healing me with your In All Honesty podcast. Oh, that is so sweet. Sending out loads of love, warm hugs, and ooh. Okay, so first, I'm beginning to think it's an inborn thing. It could be hereditary at this point. Because even I don't keep the same group of friends, but I found myself in most friend groups that I tend to have, I am the main lender. And I don't know why that happens, because in most cases, you're hanging around people who you have the same financial capacity as. So I don't understand why I'm the one who's not borrowing and always lending. I don't get it. And for you, it has happened as well. I don't know whether it's the idea of stability for you. I honestly do not get it. And it's happened to it even happens in new places. Like I start working at a new place, and in the first few weeks, someone will just come to me and be like, "Can you lend me some money? I'll pay it back when we get paid." And I'm just thinking, why me? And this has happened in places where I even earned less than the people who borrowed me money in the same company. We both know the payroll leaked. You're earning way more than me. I don't know why you're asking me for money. But anyway, I honestly do not know. But in this case, if you find yourself being the lender mostly, start charging an interest. We'll talk about that when I get to my thoughts and lessons about money at the end. But I really do get you. Also paying for convenience. I don't know why people don't do this. Honestly, if I took time off my day to send you money and I incurred a cost, when you're sending back the money, it won't hurt to send an extra 200 shillings on top. It will not hurt. Just for the just it's being courteous. When you're at a hotel eating, you leave tips. Why is it so difficult for you to tip your friend who came through for you when you needed to be bailed out? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So, yeah, I really do understand you. I will tell you, now that you've realized you're a frequent lender, start charging an interest. You might be surprised how no one will be borrowing you money in a few months. We've got another mail. This one says, "Hi, Olive. Let's talk about money, the double-edged sword that can bring both joy and chaos in a heartbeat. A valuable lesson learned. In my next job, I'll definitely keep my exact earnings a secret from my parents." Are you even African? I doubt. You told your parents exactly what you earn. You know better now. As the end of the month approaches, the once serene family atmosphere gets quite turbulent. Ever had your hard-earned money mentally spent before it even hits your bank account? From household necessities to unexpected temporary loans that somehow become permanent, it's a whirlwind. During these financial reckonings, my mom and I become the best of pals. But as the dust settles and the numbers fade, so does the camaraderie. That's a hard word for me. So does the camaraderie, a whole emotional roller coaster in itself. Here's what I've gleaned from these episodes. Never under any circumstances ask your parents to pay back the money you've loaned them. Otherwise, be prepared for the history lesson on how you've been living under their roof, rent-free since forever. So much for gratitude. Oh, and a piece of advice. Stick to your repayment terms like your life depends on it. Friends, here is a memo. If we decide to split the bill and then suddenly at the restaurant your wallet goes on a diet, shame on you. We made plans, for crying out loud. Communication is key. Boundaries are sacred. Otherwise, you'll find yourself contributing to funeral expenses or distant relatives you've never even heard of, or sponsoring events that were nowhere in your agenda, all in the name of family duty. But hey, let's not lose sight of the prize, the pursuit of the elusive bag. In a world where money talks, having it earns you respect. All in all, let's remember, money might not buy happiness. It actually does, though. But it sure does earn you some respect. I love this. First things first, I'll say is start calling out your parents. Them feeding you, clothing you, housing you, giving you an education is their obligation. It's your right as a child. That is not a favor. They better stop using it as defense for paying back your money. And that's if you've ever given them money. You shouldn't be giving your parents money. When you give loans to your parents, you already know who the type of persons they are. Count it as a loss. I don't know, but don't give them money if you don't want to count it as a loan. Just don't give them money. But that happens a lot with family. Don't also ever disclose. Like, talk to your friends, talk to everyone, tell them how much you earn, but don't you ever disclose how much you earn to your family, because they will spend it for you. You see, here you're saying you've already budgeted for money that hasn't hit your bank account. And that's not right. This money is being used by people who've already lived their life. Then how are you building your future? This money that's coming in is supposed to secure your future for you, an emergency kitty. It's supposed to build investment for you. It's supposed to give you some assets, secure some assets for your future, some savings somewhere so that you can travel and explore the world. This money is supposed to build you as a person. They've already gone through their processes earlier on. It's unfair for them to have gone through their processes and now drain your money when it's supposed to be building for your life. They wanted you to be successful. How come they're the ones now who are straining you? Now you can't use this money to invest and become the success that they wanted you to be. Parents can be very, I'm trying to find a good word, unreasonable. They can be unreasonable. So just know that your parents are also human. You'll have to set very clear boundaries. Boundaries are difficult to set. That I will tell you for a fact. You have to be very intentional. You have to have strength, and you have to have the willpower. But it can happen. You'll be labeled names, because if you're doing something for someone and then you stop all of a sudden, or you reduce the number of things you were doing for them, you'll be labeled names. Humans are humans. So just get ready for that. Okay. But with that said, it's a lot. Money is a lot. Just don't. Family, money, tricky. Oh, and there's something else you've said. Be keen about your boundaries so that you don't end up contributing to things that you do not understand. And you'll be called the grandmother to the cousin of the church member of your mother is wedding. You're supposed to send in 5,000 Kenyan shillings. How? Tell me how. How? Yeah, so you'd have to be very keen with your money, have to set boundaries. I remember for me, there's a point where I said, I'll stop contributing for parties. Is it parties? Yes, I only contribute for grief. And for grief, sometimes I also gauge. It's not like I'll contribute to every single death and sickness that I hear of. So I've picked a few things that work for me. So I've set boundaries. You see how when you go buy something at a store, they have a chart for deliveries within the city, right? So I also have the same. So if this particular thing has affected someone who's outside these particular limits of circles, then that shouldn't really be my headache, especially if I do not have the money for it. So I've also picked particular charities that I am willing to contribute to, and I also don't give myself pressure. I'm just when I have it, then I will give. So be very keen about where your money goes. A lot of times you might get guilt tripped because of you're supposed to contribute to something that is sad, something that's a calamity, and therefore you'll feel oh my goodness, if I'm not giving money to this, then I'm a bad person. No, you'd have to be very steadfast in what you're willing to give your money to, because some people are very manipulative. Okay? Let's get to things that I have learned about money and humans quite easily. Let's go through them. Number one. Compartmentalize. Where money begins, friendship ends. Okay? Yes. Oh, we love each other. Yeah. You're my best friend. You need 2,000 Kenyan shillings. Okay. When do you intend to pay it back? Please pay it back with this amount on top. Quick and easy. So those two things I've mentioned. Set payment dates. Repayment dates. So I learned this from a YouTube channel a while back. I don't even remember from which video. But then that person said, set dates for repaying, even with your friends, and follow up. Don't relent on following up. So I started doing that. These days, the only question I actually ask people is, when are you paying it back? It's as simple as that. Just tell me when you're paying it back, and then I'll give you the money. And because my memory is very, I struggle with memory and remembering things, what I do is I set down a reminder. I'll schedule a text for that day when you said you'll pay it back, so that text will just send on that day to tell you to pay back my money. If you pay back the money before the day of, I will just go, it will remind me to go and delete that scheduled text. So set repayment dates. It doesn't matter with who, whether with family, whether with sisters, nothing. Just ask them, when do you intend to pay it back? And then follow it up until that day. Another thing you need to do is communicate convenience cost. This is still under the compartmentalization, okay? So when I'm telling you, so when you borrow money, I started doing this quite recently because I realized I'm going to be losing a lot of money if I'm just going to be lending for free. So when I send you 20,000 Kenyan shillings and it cost me 200 Kenyan shillings to send it to you, when it cost me 200 Kenyan shillings to send it to you, I'll ask you, when paying it back, please pay it as 20,200. Thank you. Because I realized we might think that it's courteous, that everyone thinks in their head, it's common sense. If I borrowed money, I should pay it back with a little something because they incurred a cost to help me out, right? No, not everyone thinks like that. So there's something Rono Chebet said. The most shocker you will realize as an adult is people don't think the way you think. So we've had instances where people borrow you money and they just send it back as a flat rate. They don't care for what you went through to send it to them. So just be very keen. Communicate. Do not assume. Communicate that I spent 200 shillings to send this money to you. Please pay it back with 200 shillings on top. Thank you. Something else that I've learned is, if you are a frequent lender is loaner. No, loaner is the one who's taking the money. If you're a frequent lender, start charging interest. I realized this. I've been a frequent lender for a long time, but by the time I was just like, let me turn this into a business. If everyone is going to come and borrow from me, let me just turn it into a business. So then I'd just tell it casually to a friend, oh, you can borrow, but I'm charging like a 10% interest, so you'll pay it back with this amount. And let me tell you, the number of people who have not borrowed me money ever since is ridiculous. I think even this year, I haven't had anyone borrow me money. Like the whole year, we're headed to the 8th month. No one has borrowed me money. So you realize that these people actually had other forms. They had other avenues where they could get this money, or they really just didn't need this money, or they thought you were convenient to get this money from. I do not know, because no borrower has shared with me again their side of the story. So I'm only thinking from the lender's side. From your side, it's inconveniencing. So once you start charging an interest, people just stopped borrowing money from me. And I was just thinking, oh, that's all I needed to do. So the problem wasn't even, so the money wasn't, you didn't have an emergency. You didn't. Really, because if you had an emergency, you'd be willing to pay a small fee on top of it. Small, because it's friends. I don't charge them like this is the bank or a circle. I charge them like a minute amount, 5%, 8%, 10%, like very little money that you can just add on to whatever you've borrowed. So I don't know. I realized interest is going to save you a lot of, and the ones who are willing to pay the interest, then well and good. That is really, really good. Something else I have learned is only give money you are willing to lose. Okay? Especially to people who you do not know if you have an established trust. You've established trust with, especially acquaintances. When you give money, like the one who's also talked about family and giving your mother or your father money. When you give money like that, just be ready to let it go. It should be money that you're willing to not fuss about. And this I tied to the also have an open relationship with money. There's something Africa described it as, have an open palm relationship with money. Money comes, money goes. Money does not belong to anyone. So once you have that mentality, you know that money that is gone, it's lost. You count your losses and you move. But if you keep holding on resentment and hurt for the money that you've lost through a friend or something, then you're spending so much energy on that when this energy could have been channeled towards you getting more money so that you can even compensate for the one you have lost. So be very careful about holding on to like hurtful money that has it feels like a con. It was stolen from you because this is someone you loved, you cared for, you trusted, you were sure they were going to pay back, and now they're just behaving funny. So have an open palm relationship with money. Be ready to let go of money, and that is the same way your palm will remain open for you to receive money. But if you're clutching onto this money, your hand is full, baby. Your hand is full. There is no space for more money to come in. So I hope that makes sense. Something else that I learned is don't give money that is tied to a specific use. I learned this in a very hard way, because I had set aside money that we were supposed to do a certain activity with particular friends. So we were like 3-4 involved, and we all set that money aside, and we know this money cannot be messed with because all of us, it's tied to someone. You know, when money is just you, it's easy. So it's tied to someone else. If you don't hold your end of the bargain, it inconveniences 3 other people. So I was very keen to set that money aside, and I never touched any of that money. But then this thing was supposed to happen on the 20th. But then a friend of mine calls me on the 1st, and they're like, can you lend me this money? And I tell them I have it, but when do you intend to pay it back? They ask me, when do you need it? Which is now, I realize, is a red flag. You should just say when you're willing to pay it back. So I said, I need it before the 15th. So I said 15th and not 20th, so that I have some time in here, a safe zone, right? A safe zone before the 20th. And she said, I'll pay it back to you by 10th, 15th. Even by 15th is too late. You'll have it by then. So then I understand something might have happened on her end. I also do not blame her, because things happen. I do understand. But now she couldn't be able to pay me back the money before 15th. She couldn't even be able to pay me back the money by 20th. By 20th, I still hadn't gotten my money back. And yes, I understand that it's getting tough on her end, and something has happened that is inconveniencing for her as well. So I can't give her grief. But at the end of the day, my deadline is also closing in here on a commitment that I made with 3 other people. And it's going to be so bad if I fall off, right? So guess what happened? I took out a loan. Hurts me. Took out a loan to pay to this commitment. This commitment that I had money for. It's not like I didn't have money for it. But I had to take out a loan to pay for that commitment. And now my money came back later on. But guess what? This money came back as a flat rate. So the interest that I paid in the loan that I took to honor my commitment has not been compensated. The transaction costs that I incurred when sending money around was not compensated. And the inconvenience generally of me waiting out on money, trying to figure out, and there's a deadline somewhere that involves other 3 people, all that inconvenience has not been compensated. I just sat down and thought to myself, this is too much work and energy. And what for? Just to bail out someone. So at this point, if money is tied to something, it does not move. And I feel like that's the first time I ever broke that rule. And it reminded me why I have that rule. Because I've always been very keen. If I'm setting aside money for a laptop, that money is for the laptop. If our phone gets spoiled, we'll walk around this town without a phone until the day we start getting money for the phone. So I'm very keen. Money that's tied up to something is not moved around. It will help you a lot with discipline. And last but not least, oh my goodness, this is the biggest thing ever. Do not mix business with pleasure. I have told friends, I have told family, I cannot do business with people that I know. I am very easy and very open to doing investments, partnerships with strangers, because then it's very easy to keep it business. But once friends, family is involved, spouses, it can get messy, especially when things start to get personal. And here's the thing, especially for my ladies, if you're closing in on a contract and you don't intend to get it through other dubious means, if you intend to close in on a contract, you're seeing like something is coming close, let me tell you, even if you fall in love with the person on the other side of the boardroom table, don't you dare hold on that sex. Please hold on. Do not dare have any sexual relations with this person until you've gotten this deal. That is if you didn't want to get this deal through exchange for sex, okay? If you wanted to get it that way, that's fine. But if you feel like, oh, this is someone who I can trust, or I've fallen in love with them, this has nothing to do with the business that we're doing on the side, it's about to get messy. It's going to get messy, okay? So just keep business on the side, pleasure on the side, because even up to now, I've had friends who've told me, why don't you just pick one of your friends to be your manager? And I'm just like, no, I cannot. Then the friendship has to end. For me, those two cannot mix. And it has saved me a lot of drama. I promise you. Just not mixing pleasure and business saves me a lot of drama. And I am able to compartmentalize very, very well. My mom says... in my mother tongue, my mom says, Olive, chunying. That is to mean your heart is made of ice. Like your heart is so cold. And this is because she has seen interactions with me, between me and relatives, when money is involved. Like, this is my person, we're laughing, we're having a good time. Oh, you want to book my Airbnb? It's 4,000 Kenyan shillings per night. No, I'm not taking 3,999. No, I don't want you to pay me 4,001 either. No, the price is set at 4,000. Please and thank you. If you'd like to tip, then you'll add on a tip. But we are not about to get businessy here. There's an incident where my mom saw me, someone, I don't know, we were running a particular business with her at that time, and someone came and I think they fumbled around their pocket looking for a 50 shilling, and they were like, oh, I don't have 50 shillings. Can you leave it for me at that price? And I was like, oh, no, you don't have 50 shillings? Then just give me back my 100 shillings. I'll send you the 50 shillings through, M-Pesa. And my mom was just like, after he walked away, my mom was just like, hey, Olive, even 50 shillings. I was just like, Mom, this is business. I'm not about to mess up my finances just because I'm out here. We're not running charity, eh? Okay. And it's not like they didn't have the money. They were just saying they didn't have the change. Okay. So I figured out a solution for it. So I am very keen when it comes to business and pleasure, and I do not mix the two. And already, I think these things are easier. They're easier for me because I've really struggled with friendship. I have trust issues. So probably for people who are working towards these things, it will take a bit more strength and intent for you to get to where I am. For me, it's just trust issues where I'm just like, I don't have the mental strength to deal with how messy it gets once it gets personal and it's business with people that I know. So for me, I think that response to that trauma just helps me a lot. But for other people, you'd have to work twice as hard for the same results. And something that I want to close this podcast episode with, last but not least, personal, very personal to me. It doesn't apply to other people. It's not advice I'm giving you. I'm just saying me to you. If I lend you money, please pay it back in a lump sum. Don't you ever send me back. I lent you 10,000. You start sending me 2,000, 1,000, 5,000. First of all, there are people who even send them in different avenues. You've sent me 2,000 on the bank. You've sent me 3,000 on PayPal. You've sent me another one through mobile money. Sir, are you mad? Are you mad? Please just pay it back in a lump sum, pay it through one avenue. Of course, now I'm charging interest, and if I'm not charging interest, if you're someone who's very close to me, I'll just ask you to pay the transaction fee. So yeah, that is it for me. And there's people who do this, something that is very, I don't know if it's happened to other people. You lend them money and they pay it back less, a very insignificant amount. I lend you 1,000 Kenyan shillings. You pay me back 900 shillings. And 100 shilling is a very difficult amount to follow up on. And I'm just like, why? Why would you? And it's usually so insignificant. It never even gets to the 1,000 mark. I lend you 20,000. You pay me back 19,800. And sometimes you get a text like, oh, it's the extra amount of money is in another account. Let me send it to you through that account. And then you wait, But then 200 bob is such an insignificant amount to follow up, or you're just like, did they forget? did they just conveniently not pay me back less 200? Like, it's a lot for me. And there's people who are even audacious enough to pay you back, but deduct the transaction fee that they will incur. So I lent you 20,000, but since it will cost you 100 shillings to send it back to me, you pay me 19,900. Why am I the one still paying for your transaction cost? Let me tell you, humans are weird. Humans are weird. But anyway, it will really help if you just do not mix business and pleasure. Okay? Anything that is personal, do not make it a business. Anything that is a business, do not make it personal. And when you get to that point, establish very clear boundaries. Have everything written on paper. Do not operate on trust, please. But let's do that with strangers. Outside here, we are doing the most with strangers. We're investing, we are partnering, we are doing our best with strangers. But with people with people we know, we have to be a bit more careful. And that brings us to the end of our episode today. Money Icks, money etiquette. I hope you learned something. I hope you felt at home with experiences that are now familiar to you. I am still hoping that borrowers send me their end of the story, because we do not understand. Everyone here who has sent in their contribution is someone who lends money. Borrowers, please tell us your side of the story. We are tired and we don't know why you're behaving like this, okay? But with that said, this has been a beautiful episode. Thank you for coming back again. Thank you for choosing me again. I am because you are. It's beautiful that you keep supporting me. It's beautiful that I keep putting out content for you. I love this relationship. I love this business we have. But until next week, please take care of yourself. This has been the In All Honesty podcast. My fabulous name is Olive Orao. Bye.